Hello again, it's Debbie from acrylicpouring.com, back to try out another swiping experiment. If you look back to one of my earlier videos, I did a swipe in black, white and red with a little dash of gold that I absolutely loved, turned out beautifully, but I was trying to emulate a design done by a guy called Casey in one of the Facebook groups, where he was doing a black, white and a blue kind of swipe, and just with a single swipe he was getting great big juicy looking cells. And I was wondering at the time I was doing mine whether it was to do with paint consistency, whether if I used a thinner paint I could create a different effect. So I've mixed up some paints, especially today, that are thinner than what I would usually use, and we'll see how that works. I just need to add a couple of drops of silicone into my colours and then we'll get going. So I'm just pouring on a plain ceramic tile today. I've not done anything to prepare it, which is unlike me because normally I put a layer of gesso on, but hey, I was not in the mood. Just wanted to get in here and pour today. So I've got my paints mixed up and they're really quite thin, pretty watery, much more so than I would usually use. And I've got this nice, I think it's a bluebird. So let's put a little bit of this down first of all, and you can probably see how thin it is because it should run about quite a lot on this tile, I think. Let's do a little bit of that one. And then I think this is Bahama blue, which is actually green, but I think the two would look pretty cool together. And these are mixed up just acrylic paint with Floetrol, made up with a little bit of water, and I've added in some silicone oil. I've also got a little bit of silver. Now my silver sticker, this is just a little bit left over from a previous project, and this is the kind of thickness that I would usually have the paint. And you can see it probably kind of sitting up a little bit, whereas these other colours, they're much thinner and they're blending in together. So it'll be interesting to see if I'm able to create a different effect today by having thinner paints. Certainly what I'm interested in finding out. So I've got quite a lot on here already, but I think before maybe I had a bit too much black, so let's go more with the colour. Can be little blobs, there we go, and I think that's good. So I'm just going to run it a little bit because I'm concerned if I have too much paint on here that I'll end up without a space at the bottom to put my white. So I'm just going to run it a little bit so it will swipe but not be too runny. And then I've got a black, and again my black is thinner than usual. Let's put this a little bit more central. I zoom in, hopefully you get a better view. The black's thinner than usual, and I don't have any silicone in the black, so it's just paint, Floetrol and some water. And I've got some of these little paint chip cards from the DIY store, and I thought I would use these to swipe with. So I could potentially make a big mess, but let's see. So I'm going to just swipe with the black to start with. Ooh, nice. Now that is more like it. Okay, let's do it again. And a third time. Now that is very interesting. That's a completely different effect to what I got before with the paints, and it's much more, the bigger cells and the much more action is much more what I was hoping for in the previous video. So I'm going to put that one away, that's black. Now let's put some white down this end. Oh, I've got a hair. Okay. And if I pour, whoa, nearly tipped it all over the whole thing. That wouldn't have pleased me. So now if I put some white at this end, now I'm a little bit reluctant to swipe a second time because it looks so nice before I've done anything with the white, but hey, I'm committed. So I'm going to do it now. I really need to turn this round because I'm right-handed. So I want to make sure that I've got full control. So let's now swipe over with the white and see what happens. And I have left, I'm losing a little bit here, so I'm going to do too much with the white. And the last little bit. Okay. So now that's not quite as pleasing to me as it was before, because now I've got too much of an area of white there. So I'm going to just see if I can actually tip it a little bit and transfer some of that down here and a little bit away from the white, so I end up with a bit more interest. Okay, that's good. Now I've got some areas here with the black. I wonder if I should just touch those up with a paintbrush where I've kind of swiped all of the black away. So if I take a little bit of my paintbrush and just dab in these edges, I think that will work. While the paint's still wet and nice and thick there, it should all level, and I don't think I'll end up with a problem. But what I will do is just take the opportunity of also fill in the edge of the tile here. So this one isn't going to have any design on this side. This will just be plain black at this end where the black paint is. But it still looks good. On the sides where I tipped the paint off in the centre, it's still got some nice designs on the sides here. So I've not lost anything there. And then up this end I will take a look. There's just a couple of little areas where I need to dab on some white, but again, because I tipped, it's mostly all perfect already. Just a little bit on the corner there. And a bit on this side. Excuse me while I lean over to make sure this back corner is covered. It's looking good. Wow, now that was interesting, because in the past, you know, I've swiped and I've had success, but I haven't had the immediate kind of success that I got with this one. And when I first started out, people were telling me that my paints were too thin, and so I thickened up my paints, and then, you know, still wasn't getting the kind of success that I was looking for. And so it's interesting to see that now when I re-thinned the paints back down, I actually got better cell action than when I carried on with the slightly thicker paints. So that is definitely a lesson for me there to learn. And it also gave me the opportunity to tilt the painting a little bit as well, and, you know, move those cells about and get a bit more interest. So I think now it looks really quite nicely balanced. We've got just a small black area here, a little bit of white negative space. I just need to touch up a little bit of white there. There we go. But you know, it's not completely symmetrical. The white and the black don't exactly balance each other, so I think it looks pretty good. I'm very, very happy with it actually. So let me bring the camera down. I'll show you some of these lovely details. And here it is. Wow, absolutely glorious. Just what I was hoping to create. I'm so, so delighted. Casey, thank you so much for showing us what you do. It was definitely for me a consistency of paint issue. My paints were actually too thick for swiping, and once I'd thinned them down to much thinner than I would usually use, I got a much, much better effect. Instantly, you know, I didn't have any silicone in the black and white this time, just in the colours. But still, as soon as I swiped over, I got some really great action, and yes, it's one of the nicest swipes I've done. So thank you, Casey, you're awesome. And do hang around, everyone, because I'm going to set this one off to dry, and then of course I'll show you what it looks like once it's all dry, finished and varnished. And here it is, all finished, varnished and glossy, and looking really nice. I've got a feeling that it lost some of the slight definition in some of these cells. I think maybe they kind of spread and weren't quite so well defined after they were dry. I'll have to look back on the video and see what they looked like before. But the little silver accents in this from the silver paint looks really, really nice. It's quite shiny, glittery, and looks really nice. I think people are going to like this one. It's a nice area just here. Generally, the whole thing, I think it looks successful to me. I like this kind of colour scheme. So as usual, thank you very much for following along with this video and taking a look at my painting today. I hope you'll subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already, and remember to pop over to the acrylic pouring site at acrylicpouring.com, and also visit the store, acrylicpouringstore.com, so you can get all of your painting supplies. Thanks very much again. Bye bye.